Have you ever thought about the fact that there's an instruction manual for building, well, you? Everything from your eye color to how your body works is written in a language that, believe it or not, only has 4 letters. So in this explainer, we're going to decode that language and check out the amazing structure of DNA. So let's start with the biggest question of all. What is the actual blueprint that tells a tiny seed to become a massive tree or a single cell to grow into a person? What's the master plan? Well, the answer is a molecule with a very long name, deoxyribonucleic acid. Thankfully, we can just call it DNA. This is the stuff that's packed into the chromosomes inside almost every single one of your cells, and it holds all the genetic instructions that make you who you are.
Now, to really get what makes DNA so special, it helps to see how it stacks up against other important molecules in our bodies. You see, just like proteins are built from things called amino acids, DNA is also a long chain built from its own special building blocks, and those are called nucleotides.
Okay, so let's zoom in on those building blocks. Because, and this is the incredible part, the entire complex instruction manual for all of life is written using an alphabet of just 4 letters. Right, so these building blocks are the nucleotides we just mentioned. The best way to think about them is like they're individual Lego bricks. Each one is a small piece we're going to use to build something huge and really, really detailed. So, to get a bit more technical, a nucleotide is just one of the repeating units that links up with another and another and another to form those super long chains that make up a DNA molecule. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Each of these nucleotide bricks comes in one of 4 different types, and these types are defined by a chemical part called a base. We just know them by their initials. A for adenine, C for cytosine, G for guanine, and T for thymine. And that's it. Seriously, that is the entire alphabet for life. So, how do you get from just 4 letters to a stable molecule that can hold all that information? Well, it all comes down to one simple, unbreakable rule about how they're allowed to connect to each other. This right here is the single most important rule in all of DNA. It is the golden rule of pairing. A will only ever bond with T, and C will only ever bond with G. No exceptions. This perfect fit system actually has a name. It's called complementary base pairing. And that word complementary is perfect because it means they complete each other. T is the perfect partner for A, and G is the perfect partner for C. This partnership is also the secret to how DNA can make perfect copies of itself.
And this rule is absolute. As you can see here, it doesn't matter where you look on the strand. A is always connected to T, and C is always connected to G. It's kind of like a chemical puzzle where only these specific pieces can ever snap together correctly.
Okay, so the super simple pairing rule is basically the architect responsible for DNA's famous, iconic shape. Let's see exactly how that happens. So the whole thing happens in a few pretty straightforward steps. First, you get a long chain of these nucleotides, and that forms one strand. Then, a second strand builds itself right alongside the first one, following that pairing rule perfectly. Those AT and CG pairs form bonds that act like the rungs of a ladder, holding the 2 sides together. And then, the whole ladder twists. And the result of that twist is this beautiful and super efficient structure, the double helix. We call it double because, there are 2 strands, and helix because of that twisting spiral shape. It is, without a doubt, one of the most famous shapes in all of science. So we've got the structure down, but the big question is, why does any of this matter? How does this 4-letter code, twisted up into a spiral ladder, actually build a living thing like you or me? Well, the key thing to understand is that the order of those letters, the specific sequence of A's, C's, G's, and T's, is not random at all. It's a precise code. For humans, it's a set of biological instructions over 3 billion letters long. Think of it like the ones and zeros that run a computer program. And what do these instructions tell our cells to build? Well, that DNA sequence tells the cell the exact order of amino acids it needs to string together to make a specific protein. And proteins are the real workhorses of the body. They're the tiny machines that build our muscles, digest our food, and fight off germs. Pretty much everything. So it all comes full circle. You start with just 4 chemical letters. A simple pairing rule builds them into the elegant double helix. And that helix contains the code that builds every living thing we know of. It's the universal language of life on Earth. And you have to wonder, as we get better and better at reading it, what secrets are we going to unlock next?